Next on our agenda, we have a presentation by the recipient of the Kausar Bashir Award, Maha Sheikh. Maha Sheikh, currently serving as an architect at Ashad Shahid Abdullah, is a graduate of the Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture. She became interested in disaster relief architecture in August 2022 when Pakistan faced the world's deadliest floods. After seeing the scale of its destruction firsthand, she became committed to vulnerable communities living in disaster-prone areas by closely studying and working with them in her undergraduate thesis. She was awarded the Kausar Bashir Ahmed Award for Socially Responsive Architecture for an outstanding thesis project by the Institutes of Architects Pakistan in October 2023. I would like to invite Maha to the stage to share her award-winning project with us.
Hello everyone, I'm going to begin my presentation by saying that I was always fascinated by the geography of the river Indus and the people who live by and along it. Hello, is this better? Hello everyone, I'm going to begin my work by talking about how this project started. I was always fascinated by the geography of the river Indus and the people who live by and along it. This, coupled with the flooding that happened in August 2022, sparked my interest to work with vulnerable communities in the disaster-prone areas of Sindh, and this is where my project started. Historically in the South Asian communities, riverbed communities have always subsisted on the natural environment where they have interdependent relationship between their daily activities, the natural environment and the social environment. Over time, regional differences in climate, occupation and lifestyle has led to differences in the way these riverbed communities have built their homes. In its history, Sindh province has been frequently impacted by disasters where rural livelihoods have been disrupted, disrupting agricultural land, cattle health, and their habitat. The site is located in Lower Sindh, downstream Kotri Barrage in the riverine area of Hyderabad. In this region of Sindh, water is both a blessing and a curse that disrupts the makeshift way of life of the Mala and Mathi riverbed communities. The site is located in 3 geographical zones. Zone A is the riverbed, Zone B are the fertile agricultural fields, and Zone C are the sand dunes. The thumbnail plans to the right show that the site is in constant flux because of the flow of the water and the climatic discrepancies that keep happening. The site keeps changing. The site section, on the first section, shows the site in daily life. So during daily life, ridge and furrow farming practices are happening. The communities live on stilt homes made out of bamboo. Their mode of travel is on the kacha buns that happens on these donkey carts, and most of their daylight working hours are spent working on the fields as farmers. The second section shows the site during a drought or a heat wave where there is little to no vegetation, the riverbed has dried, and cattle health is disrupted. The land is also unfit for cultivation. Section C shows the site during monsoon rainfall or even in the advent of a disaster. During the summer monsoon months, July to September, the rabi crops can be flooded in an extreme condition, and the communities have a temporary migration towards the dunes. The images to the right show how the landscape changes during each weather pattern. For inspiration, the first precedence I looked at was the floating agriculture in Bangladesh. Floating raft agriculture is the traditional agricultural practice of Bangladesh, where farmers have adapted to waterlogged conditions by growing essential vegetables and spices on rafts that float, and they can that float on stagnant and shallow water. These are grown in seed balls, which can also be used during heat waves and droughts when the land is unfit for cultivation. For the building and construction of this project, I looked at the work of architect Shahid Khan Said and Yasmin Lari because they have proposed long-term solutions working with these communities. It was concluded that bamboo, thatch, and mud brick coated with lime plaster was the best material for use. The users of my site consisted of farmers, shepherds, fishermen, and their livestock. The pictures also depict their daily activities, where women and men both are involved in cotton picking and farming activities. Livestock rearing and cattle grazing is another activity that happens, and children accompany their mothers and do domestic chores like bringing water from the river. To understand the users of my site and their makeshift way of life, I made a seasonal calendar. The first row records the temperature, the second records the farming, so the sowing and the harvesting period, the wind direction at my site, rainfall that happens during July and September, and then the last two rows are the population densities on the riverbed and the dunes. It is concluded that the communities have a nomadic or makeshift way of life where they keep moving from place to place to find the best environment for their crop and their livestock. So the last two rows depict that the dunes are always populated all year round because they are a higher elevated ground. The riverbed is also populated because they work near the fields and they need to collect water. But during the summer months, the riverbed is not very populated. Therein, after observing these movement patterns and the nomadic lifestyle of my users, the design strategy was that I scattered my architectural masses on 3 zones, Zone A, B, and C. Zone A will have all the impermanent architecture, Zone B will be semi-permanent, and Zone C will be permanent. These all abide to the laws of nature as to not disrupt the natural environment. So the program for Zone A was floating farms, as I earlier mentioned. Zone B was a multi-purpose dwelling on field. Zone C had a public and private wing with all commercial activities to create a self-sustaining village. Zone A has the floating rafts that I had spoken about in my earlier precedent. So this is a nature-based solution and a form of hydroponics that uses bamboo tied to these water drums that float on water, and the floating bed is prepared through water hyacinth and cow dung. As you can see on the material palette to the right, all these materials are cheap, they don't disrupt the environment, they're sustainable, and they can be easily dismantled, and they float as well. The plan also shows that these rafts can be used for informal boat parking. Can you play it? These two sections show a more detailed view of these rafts. So this is during extreme conditions where you can grow these plants in seed balls on land. And this is during monsoon rain, and the rafts accommodate different kinds of fruits and vegetables in waterlogged conditions. So all year round, these rafts make sure that the food chain cycles are not disrupted. Zone B are the fields. So in Zone B, I made a multi-purpose dwelling closest to the nearest node. Here, the shaded area on the ground floor becomes a temporary pause space to take respite from the heat while working on the fields. So when the children accompany their mothers, they can, instead of going on their mother's back, they can wait along on these shaded spaces. Even on-field activities like dehusking the rice can be done on in this shaded space. Even assembling the rafts of Zone A, they can be done under this shaded space. The top floor is the living quarter for the farmers, as they don't live too far away from the fields to supervise the crops at each growing cycle and to protect them, water them, and save them from any pesticides. The plinth of the plan, as you can see, is curved so that water does not stay stagnant and it flows down. This is Zone C, the master plan that has public, private, and commercial activities to make a self-sustaining village, so the farmers do not have to rely on urban areas for their basic necessities. The entrance, you enter on these elevated dunes, and there is this animal health facility to cater for cattle health. There's a women's clinic, there's a seed bank, and there's a community center. So the seed bank is an informal storage space where long-term and short-term seeds can be sold during each growth cycle. So in case there's a disaster or there's a climate discrepancy, the seed bank stores essential seeds so that farmers can sustain themselves and also feed their livestock. The Maidan is where all informal activities happen. The topmost space is the community center, where people come to gather. They host meetings and celebrate different occasions. Tunnel farming have also been introduced, where you can artificially grow different kinds of crops, and you can even sell the produce to nearby markets. This helps the communities become self-sustaining and have an additional income. To the right and left are two housing or dwelling clusters. Each of them has a cattle shed and a series of small courtyards around them. Courtyards and also these green areas, which are grazing grounds for cattle. The topmost areas, there's a swale. So this swale collects rainwater and it reduces the runoff. So the communities can actually go to the topmost dune and collect the rainwater so it does not go waste. The isometric view of a typical housing cluster show that there's a number of dwellings that is arranged around these sehens and these dalans. So each unit has an exclusive entry code, so you can sit inside and outside. The codes make sure that the microclimate is maintained, as well as informal activities can happen. The softscape and the green area has vegetation that filters off dust and heat exposure. Each housing unit is built along a vernacular building techniques, where you have sloping roofs layered with thatch, with bamboo trusses and mud plaster for passive cooling. The doors and windows pivot open so you can control the air, sunlight, and privacy. And there are these two types of dwellings for big families and small families. This is how the terrain has been strategically controlled for privacy, harvesting wind, and to create the swales. This is an image of what the site looks like. These are more. These are just some maquettes that I made initially when I was studying each cluster typology. So I was trying to look at the terrain, the sloping roofs, and the vegetation or the cattle ground in between them, and how the clusters should be placed. These are just some snippets of the final model and how it was looking at. Thank you.